Today's episode, well, first, let me just introduce this podcast. It's going to be called Earth Signs Linked. Okay. Now, it's not that we are banning any other signs, but it's more about the earth signs coming together, creating a space, because I feel like sometimes too that any signs that are grouped together, I feel like they all pretty much think similar on a similar wavelength, not exactly, but a wavelength is the same. So the name of the podcast is going to be called, like I said, Earth Signs Linked. And today's episode is going to be staying rooted in a world that won't slow down.
Well thought, well thought out.
Getting you started already. It's created for the grounded ones, the builders, people that feel deeply moved, and just careful with everything. Whether you're a Taurus, a Virgo, Capricorn, or someone who simply craves stability in a
Exactly.
world
Big word.
that's, like a world that's so loud. This should be the space for you, this podcast created for you, because so many conversations today feel rushed, reactive, surface level,
Mm,
and I feel like, the earth signs, we don't move like that. We try to move with intention. We always need to seek the truth. We
okay.
need conversations that actually go somewhere. So here I want to create a space where we'll talk about different topics from, relationships, anything that's going on within our culture, pop culture, certain things that are meaningful. To talk about current events without panic or overwhelm. Talk about life, the messy, the beautiful, everyday parts that shape who we're becoming.
Hmm.
And to have the space is not always about having answers, but it's about slowing down long enough so we can ask better questions. And I think that's where a lot of us fail, is that we don't ask people the right questions or sometimes seek out information that's going to be useful.
That's a
So,
great
yeah,
thought.
right.
Great thought.
I want to reflect on, what does being grounded mean to you in this season of your life? But first, we get started with that. Introduce yourself.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people know me as Lover, short for DJ Haitian Lover, well-known international DJ. I can also say MC,
Heavy on the international.
MC, host, radio
Mhm.
personality as well.
Mhm.
Yes, also, I'm part of the social worker field as well when it comes to the 9 to 5. So I guess I've had a lot of experiences when it comes to interacting with different types of people
Mm.
of all ages, all demographics. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself. As you know, I love music, being the person that is a DJ and is in the nightlife. Music is one of my passions. That's why I have a whole bunch of musical tats all over. But I also do like to expand my horizon when it comes to trying new things, going to different types of events, learning more about different cultures and different ways to look at life.
Hmm.
It's like I'm in an interview, right? Like I want to pop the
I
balloon, right?
know, right? Oh my God. Well, I already knew all of that about you. But there's one thing that I never did ask you. Your stage and DJ name, Mr. Lover. How did you get that? Like, how did that stick with you? After
All right.
all
So,
these years of me knowing you, I never
yeah.
asked you that.
Well, the whole uh, Haitian Lover came about was when I was in high school, right? I was in high school. I know this may sound very surprising, but I wasn't always the cool guy that I am today. You understand? I was never the cool guy. I was always a person who I did like to converse with a lot of different people. I wasn't too shy, but I was never part of the cool crew. I was never embraced as being or hanging out with the cool clique in school. I had my own things that I enjoyed. I was part of a lot of different extracurricular activities in high school. I played musical instruments. I was part of a LaSallian youth group. I was also part of the drama club in high school. But
Wow.
at the same time, like I didn't feel as though that, I kind of did envy the cool, the stereotypical cool kids. And I wasn't really part of that clique. I guess they looked at me as a herb. Not
Oh,
really a cornball, but the people that I wanted to be, that I wanted to hang out with a little bit, like I kind of envied a little bit at that time. Like they didn't really look at me like, oh, this dude is he's kind of a lame. They didn't say it, but that was the type of energy that I felt at that time. So now I guess I started to blossom in my junior year of high school. And when I started to blossom my junior year, sorry about that. When I started to blossom my junior year, I remember AIM was like the big thing at that time. AIM, everybody was like, yo, everybody was going online on AIM, you got mail. AOL, right? That's a dial-up, right? Right. And the funny thing is, I remember my screen name. My screen name was Haitian Man, right? Haitian Man 1H. That was my screen name back then. And like I said, my junior year, I was blossoming right into, starting to become myself. I went to private school. Shout out to Bishop Loughlin, Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Brooklyn.
you always gave me private school vibes.
Oh, wow.
You did. You did. You never seemed like somebody that went to public school.
Yeah, I wasn't thuggy thuggy whatsoever. Right. I wasn't a tuggy tuggy
Uh-uh.
whatsoever.
Okay.
And pretty much it was my junior year of high school and private school. Well, as you know, most private schools had like a strict dress code. Some had uniforms, and the ones who didn't have uniforms had strict dress codes. And Bishop Auckland was one of the schools that had a strict dress code. And because they had a strict dress code, we had the opportunity of dress down days where you were able to wear whatever you wanted, as long as it's nothing, derogatory. But at those times when dress down day came around, everybody wanted to come to school fly, right? Everybody wanted to show that they could get fly, how they look outside of their uniform and how they look outside of their dress code, you know what I mean? So it wasn't until my junior year that dress down day came around and me and my boys like, yo, bro, we gotta look fly. You know what I mean? We gotta look good. We gotta compete with the people that always want to look fly or whatever the case may be. And I wore a jersey that was, fly at the moment with the matching fitted because that was the jerseys era. And I started to get noticed by a couple of people, they said, she's like, yo, and they knew me, for being part of that old Haitian clique or whatever. And this girl said to me in homeroom, end quote, she was like, yo, look at you. Or look at this, look at the Haitian. What's up, Haitian? Right. And she was like, what's up, Haitian? I'm like, yo, what's up? And she was like, what you think, you little Haitian lover boy? And I was like, nah, not at all. I guess I'm just a Haitian lover. Right. She said, okay, Haitian lover, no doubt. And the name stuck. So now my senior year of high school,
What's this young lady name? You have to thank her
right?
for creating this
That idea.
persona
Right, right, the
that you
idea.
continue to go with all these years.
These years, right?
What's her
And then
name? Well, you forgot.
her name was Darlene, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay.
Right? So now,
Well,
so
shout out to
now,
Darlene.
out to Darlene, wherever
Look
she
what you
is, you know what I'm
started.
saying? Like, right? So now my senior year, I'm like, all right, senior year, you're a big dog now. I'm a senior. And the first dress down day of school, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get fly. It's my senior year. I gotta get fly. So I remember, I got a picture of it too. I wore white and baby blue North Carolina, like the Jordan fit. So I had like the little Jordan warm up jacket. I had the Jordan jersey, the North Carolina Jordan jersey. I had the North Carolina warm up pants and some white and baby blue Jordan sixes. I think it was the sixes. And on the back of my jacket, I went to Fulton Mall. This is when Fulton Mall was there, right? The gallery in Fulton Mall, right by the gallery. And I had them stitched Haitian Love in the back of my little warm up jacket. And I went to school the next day with that jacket on, you know what I mean? Everybody like, oh, you know what I'm saying, dude? Okay, you looking fly, all
They
right?
they they created a monster. So basically from that time forward, this
Haitian
is
Lover.
what you've been doing,
That's the name.
all
That's the
these
name.
years.
Co-sign the name. That's where the name came about. And I used that name, for everything. You know what I mean? I used that when it came to the DJing. That was my nickname. And I was like, all right, boom, I'm gonna keep that name. And you hear a lot of people say, Haitian lover. Does that mean you love Haitians?
That's the first thing
That
they think
means,
of?
yeah, does that mean you just love Haitians?
Mhm.
I'm like, nah, not even. It's just the nickname. It's what it is. That's just what it is.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that story. After knowing you all this time, I did not know how it was created. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that don't know too, but they're gonna
Facts.
find out.
Facts.
So
Absolutely.
what does being grounded mean to you in this season of your life?
Well, to be honest, age doesn't necessarily mean that you're mature, right? I believe, and I've read this, and I believe this, I felt this, that age is always a blessing, right? But maturity comes with experiences, understanding that you reach a point in your life where the people that you place yourself around is extremely important. The decisions that you have made in the past and decisions that you make right now will completely affect your future.
Mm,
And now with the decisions that you have made, you're going to come to a realization where you have to take full accountability of where you are and where you're going. So grounded means understanding, to me, my definition, right? Or my view of it is grounded means understanding what you have gone through, taking accountability of where you are now and what can you do to make things better in the future.
exactly, exactly. So I'm gonna answer the question, what it means for me right now in this season of my life. And just to discuss earth signs as a whole, I heard that it was this thing where earth signs have been going through a lot of trauma, a lot of drama, and turmoil for the past 10 years. And supposedly, with this new year upcoming, is the year, or let's just say when last year ended, is when we supposedly have shed all of the unnecessariness,
Mm,
right? So
mm,
not so much that we're never going to get into something again, but it's just that the drama and the trauma that we've been through the last 10 years has shaped us for the new life of what we're becoming.
that
So
is a
that
that
is a
is
good thing to
wow.
hear. That is a good thing to hear, and I'm excited for that because it just also validates for me that the cycles are not going to be repeated. We're
Okay.
going to be able to identify them quicker, and we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
able to move swiftly to
Mm-hmm.
not re-traumatize ourselves. So I'm
Mm.
excited about that, and I'm happy about that, to be moving
That is
forward and into a better space.
what you just said
Yeah, how do
was
you feel
very
about
true.
that? It says for the last 10 years, the earth signs have been going through trauma,
Uh-huh.
drama, turmoil, just every time they turn around. And the crazy thing about it, they never miss a beat. It may have taken them off their track for a while, but it wasn't in a sense of, you know what I'm saying, where it would alert everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That is very informative.
mhm,
Very informative because I can definitely say within the last I can say year, within the last year, I've experienced, different types of relationships and I've seen different types of relationships around me deteriorate.
mm,
You know what I mean? Deteriorate.
mhm,
And some of these relationships, just the issues that came about in those relationships were just out the blue, were very unexpected.
mm.
Fact that all of those things, all of those relationships that I've seen and experienced as well that deteriorated within the last year makes sense that you just said that,
But
you
it's
know?
crazy that you bring that up because the next thing that I was just going to bring forth to you is, us to discuss when it comes to being an earth sign, love and loyalty. And basically, like, what does it mean to you in a way of you not showing or struggling with so much vulnerability, right? It's where in your relationship
Yeah,
do you feel like you need to be more stable or more soft? And that's gonna coincide with what you was just talking about,
yeah,
experiencing things with people that you never thought you would experience this type of thing with them.
yeah.
So where does it come in you learning to be more stable and more soft in certain areas when it comes to love relationships and just loyalty. So when we talk about love relationships, we talking about being in a intimate relationship with somebody as well as friendships.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I think we don't discuss it. I feel like we don't discuss enough that friendships go through some of the same things that
Yes.
love relationships go through. You know,
Absolutely.
sometimes you've been with a friend for so long
Mhm.
and, things don't work out between y'all. That's kind of like a love relationship.
Yeah.
You hurt the same way. Your mind replays the same situations. It's like, and I don't think we talk about that enough.
I think that is very important with
Mm-hmm.
friendships.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna talk about the friendships first because when it comes to friendships, I think of a very important trait when it comes to friendships is accessibility. I'm very big on accessibility.
What that mean?
It's a
When it comes
friendship
to
and
friends or your love relationship?
both,
Okay.
both.
Okay.
I'm very big on accessibility, right? And so
What does
now
that mean though? Tell me what
I'm
does
gonna
that
hit
mean?
on both aspects, right? When it comes to friends, right? Your friend, when it's somebody who's in your inner circle, your close friend, this person should be someone who's going to be there for you. When I mean by there for you, I'm not even talking about financial, I'm talking about emotional. Because when you have your close friends, somebody who's in your inner circle, these are the people that you're going to express things that sometimes you can't even tell your partner. You know what I mean? And this is emotions that you may be going through. And these people are the people who should be letting you know the real, not telling you what you want to hear, but telling you what you need to hear. You get what I'm saying? And it's important to me to have accessibility because when stuff goes left, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have someone that they can count on. Not everybody has a brother or a sister. And sometimes the relationship that you have with your brother and your sister is not the relationship where you can call them at the drop of a dime and they're going to be there for you. They're going to stop what they're doing, you know what I mean, to help you in your moment of need. And now, when it comes to accessibility in an intimate relationship, that's a big key factor to me because if I'm not like everyone else, don't ever treat me like everyone else.
Mm.
That's the way I look at it. Like if something goes wrong for you, I need to be there. That is the unwritten code that needs to be taken into place or that needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? If that is your partner, right? You guys are exclusive to each other. It goes hand in hand. Accessibility, right? Accessibility and inclusivity, right? And I'm saying the word wrong. Exclusivity, excuse me. Exclusivity, right? And accessibility to me goes hand in hand. If you're not dealing with everybody else the way you're dealing with me, then everybody shouldn't have the same accessibility when it comes to me. I should be way more accessible to you and you should be way more accessible to me than other people. If I am your partner, it should be me, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your best friend. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's it. We are the top five. Remember the T-Mobile top five back in the day? Right, right. Or your MySpace top eight. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, MySpace top eight back in the day. I'm in that. You know what I'm saying? I'm in that group. You understand? Because when something goes left, I need to know. When
Mm.
something goes left, you need me to be there. You need me to show up for you. And I believe that needs to be reciprocated. People know this about me. My friends know this about me. My
I
close
was
friends know.
about to say, Haitian Lova, you run a strict program.
Oh yeah, I do.
Jesus
I-
Christ.
and the thing about it is that I'm fully accountable for that, bro. I'm fully accountable. Like some people
You
be like, yo,
accept that. You accept that.
listen,
Okay.
my toxic traits that I have, I take full accountability.
Okay.
Yo, I had past exes of mine say, "Oh, you are toxic." I say,
Hmm.
I say, yes, I know. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, no. Do you have toxic traits? Yes, I do. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? If you want somebody to care about you a lot, and this is for all the people in the world, okay? If you want your partner to care about you a lot, it's gonna come with some toxicity. It's going to. There's no way about it because they always say there's a thin line between love and hate.
Mm.
Right? The girl that's the woman that loves you the most, when you hurt her, she's gonna hate you the most.
Mm.
She's gonna hate you the most because she loved you the most. it's gonna, that's just how it is. Like, you can't do nothing about it. Yes, because if she poured into you so much and then now she's in pain, you're
Right.
gonna hurt her the most because
Right.
she poured into you so much. You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
There's nothing you can do about it. That's just the way life is.
Right.
If you lift something that is extremely heavy and then now it falls on you, it's going to hurt like hell.
Mm.
If you lift something light, like nothing, it's weightless. When it falls, it doesn't hurt, right? So if you applied a lot of pressure, a lot of power to something, and then it's get damaged, it's gonna hurt the most. That's just the way life is. That's the yin and yang.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I feel as though like it's really important to me, right? For my inner circle. Like, of course, you're gonna have people who are friends that you are cool with, that you speak to time and time. That's cool, that's fine. You guys don't need to have that full accessibility because y'all cool. Y'all, you know what I mean? They're not in your inner circle. But the
Mhm.
people that are in your inner circle that you show up there, that you show up for in a time of need, they need to reciprocate that.
Right.
They
Right.
need to reciprocate that. Like that's one of the I guess one of my big pet peeves when it
Mm.
comes to women that I've dated and women I've been involved with, you know what I mean? Is
Mhm.
accessibility. They be like, "Oh my God, lover, I can't answer the phone 24/7." You're right. Yeah, I know you can't answer the phone
It's
100%. Yeah, but Imma need you to answer the 75
a
to 80.
it's a strict program. It's a strict program over there.
I'm serious. I'm
Oh
like,
my
I need
god,
you to
we
answer the
wanna
phone
be
75.
there. That's
Because you know
strict.
why? You know why? Because I
That's
do it.
strict Haitian lover.
Because I do it. Because I do it. If I didn't do it, then all right, fine, but I do it.
I know.
I do
I
it on the
believe
regular.
you. I believe you.
I do it on the regular, you know what I'm saying? With women that I've dated, women that I've been involved with,
Mhm.
I've been on the phone with at events. I've taken them to events that I'm doing.
Mhm.
I'm DJing that.
Right.
There's times where I be at private events, right? And I'm there for an extended amount of time, and I just want some company. Boop, FaceTime,
Mm.
put it right here next to the laptop,
Mhm.
and you're there at the party with me. You get what I'm saying? You're there at the party with me through the phone. You know what I mean? You're not there physically, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, in person, but you're there through the phone. And
Right.
that's just small little snippet. That's little things that I do and little things
Okay.
that I've done in
Okay.
the past as well.
And that's basically you let that be known, right? That's your expectation, and that's something that is instilled within yourself.
Yes.
That's a part of you that you have no interest in changing.
No,
Okay, and
I
I
don't. It's
understand
just
that.
not.
I understand that. That's fine. But I could say to piggyback on what you explained and what you reviewed, right? Is that I feel like I was in a similar way, like with my friends or with my partner, not as strong as you're coming off, but a little similar to that,
Okay.
right? So, for example, I could tell an example, between me and you when we used to work together on a
Mhm.
podcast, right?
Yeah.
If you tell me be here this time and I say to you, okay, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be there that time. If I'm 5 minutes late, you texting me, yo, where you at? That type of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or vice versa. If I call you and it doesn't matter like what I'm calling you for, to shoot the shit or whatever, right? If I call you and you don't answer the call, or you don't send me a message an hour later, 2 hours, you still ain't call me back or text me the next day, like, yeah, I'm gonna get hot. So I noticed when I was doing that within my friendships and in my relationship, one of the things that I did change, that I had to change within myself to make things easier for me and to lessen my load of unnecessary stress, I had to take away that part of expectation. So
Mm.
you see how you said you thrive on the expectation?
Mhm.
I probably was feeling like that a little bit, but I'm saying to you moving forward, I remove that. That way, I don't feel no way. I'm not getting upset. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying? And I got to
Okay.
understand too that because I want to get to you quick, because I want to tell you something, or I want the answer of something, because I know if I tell you something, you're going to give me a good answer. because I want that now. It's like kind of like fast food. I want to go through the drive-through and
Mhm.
get my meal quick. I
Mhm.
gotta
Mhm.
understand that, or I learned that everybody's not on the same time that I'm on. Everybody doesn't have the same schedule that I have. So I have to be respectful of everybody's time and have them allot the time when they have time to talk with me
Okay.
or to message, to message. I have to understand that people can't drop whatever it is that they're doing to satisfy my need of them giving me a good answer or them giving me attention in a space or whatever it is. I had to remove that in order to make my relationships better. I noticed that when I did that, my relationships have become better. My sense of handling people have been better, just giving everybody, it's not even about the space that they need, it's about the space that they deserve. You don't know what people go through in their daily, weekly lives, the type of work that they do. You know what I'm saying? They may not have the capacity to give me what I'm looking for at the time.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important too for us to have different friends, different relationships in these different places and spaces, just so we don't feel left out. And we have a certain abundance of people that, we know we can go to with certain things. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's really hard if you just have that one or two people that are good in your life because you don't want to run them down either. You don't want to run them down with your mess or whatever it is. You want to be able to give people time and space and for y'all to come together when it's appropriate for all parties. You know, so I can honestly say to you that that's one thing that I did remove in order to make my relationships better. Now,
That is
sometimes, now I'm not talking about the disrespectful people that'll see you call and they the one that, oh, I never got no time to talk. I'm not talking about those because those there, you would never get another call out of me. You would never get a call. And you'd be lucky if I save your contact. That's one thing. One thing people don't realize that it is a gift to have somebody's real phone number. I'm not talking about calling you on Instagram, calling you on Facebook. For you to have somebody actual number, that is a gift. That's allowing some type of access to that person. I don't just give my number out to anybody. I just don't be talking to anybody on the phone. Especially, I hate to say it, if you're not on my level of conversation. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna do that. Like we're not even gonna converse. So that is what I could say that's the difference between you and I right now. Is with
Yeah.
that is that you embrace that part of yourself and one thing you let people know that this is the expectation, so either you're gonna fall in line or get out the line. Right? Right? That's what you're saying to them? So where I had to change up a little bit, where I had to say, I have to give you the time and space for both of us to be able to make this time for each other. And that's within the relationship and as well as with my friends.
Yeah, that's very important. And that is a great way to resolve that situation, accepting people for who they are.
Hmm.
I've learned that through time with certain friends. I guess one experience that taught me back in the day, and hopefully you can relate to what we're saying, is that I remember when I was heavy on trying to throw events, right? I was heavy on trying to throw events. This is like years ago, and this was a learning lesson. So I would throw events, and then, I knew a lot of people. I've always known a lot of people. So I would be like, yo, pull up to this, pull up to that. Yo, I'm doing this event. I'm doing this here at this club or whatever. Where is it at? It's in Brooklyn. And some of my Queens friends like, oh, it's in Brooklyn. I ain't trying to go to Brooklyn. I'm doing something in Queens. Right. And to be honest, at the time, Brooklyn was very marketable for me. You understand? It was very marketable. And a lot of people I felt at that time were, I guess, they were more easygoing. They were way more open to going to events traveling in Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like Brooklyn is very overpopulated. as we know,
Mhm.
in the Flatbush area, especially. And a lot of Caribbean people live in Flatbush, live in Canarsie. And you have Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, East New York as well. But I feel as though that people would always be commuting in Brooklyn. The commuting, they never had a problem with commuting in Brooklyn. But the Queens people, right? The Queens people
That's a different story?
will be a different story because you have plenty of Brooklyn people who will come to Queens, but you will have selective amount of people that will come to Brooklyn, you know what I mean, at that time. And I remember that I had this particular group of female friends, right? They were a clique, and I would continuously invite them to my events, and they would never pull up, never pull up, never pull up. And then, and I was like, "Yo, why wouldn't you pull up? Why wouldn't you pull up?" "Oh," you know what I mean? "Oh, so they don't pull up." And then one day I went to this event in Brooklyn. I was at this event in Brooklyn, and I seen them. And I'm like, "Yo, what y'all doing here?" "Oh, we came to the event." I said, and then it pissed me off. It pissed me off because I'm like, "Yo, you know how many times I've been doing events and y'all never pulled up to any of my joints out here?" And
Mm.
y'all this was like, "Oh, it's in Brooklyn. Is Brooklyn too far? We're not trying to come too far." I'm like, yo, that really bothered me because of the
Mm.
fact, I'm like, yo, y'all supposed to be peoples. I know y'all for how long, da da da. Y'all have never supported anything any events that I've thrown, and it bothered me, right? So now that was one thing that bothered me, but I didn't really understand certain things at that moment. Now, a little bit fast forward, I'm still throwing events or whatever, and one of my neighbors, I would send him the text blast. He was in the text blast for the events when I would, throw or whatever. I spoke to him one day, I ran into him, and I was like, "Yo, what's up?" Like, I'm like, "Yo, this event, yo, pull up, bro. You always talk about you want to pull up to events. You never pull up, never pull up." And he said, "Yo, I seen the events you've been posting and you've been texting." He's like, "Yo, that's not my thing." I said, "What you mean it's not my thing?" I said, "Yo, what's that? This club, or whatever the case may be. You say you like the music. You like Caribbean music. You like the Caribbean atmosphere. What's up? What you mean it's not your thing? That's what you told me." He said to me, right? He said, "Yeah. What you doing these events at clubs?" I said, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I like to go to lounges." "Yo, bro, it's the same thing." He said, "No, it's not." Right? He said, "No, it's not." I said, "So how is it not the same thing?" And it's what he said. And it's crazy that me being a person in the nightlife, learning from someone who's not in the nightlife, right?
Mm.
He said, end quote, he said, "I like to go to lounges. I don't like to go to clubs." I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's the same thing. He said, "No, it's not. When I come to a lounge, I want to come, buy myself a drink, listen to some music for like a good hour, have a place to sit. I'll sit at the bar or whatever, enjoy the music. I might do a little 1-2 step, and I'm good. I'm ready to go home. When you at the club, you got to stand up the entire time. You know what I mean? And I'm
Sometimes
just
people are
there.
piled on to each other.
You know what I mean? I gotta stand up the right time. There's no place to sit or whatever, unless I'm doing like a big VIP, and I'm not doing a big VIP. He said, "I just want to have my drink, enjoy the music for a little bit, and go home." That's the difference. I'm not a club person, but I'm a lounge person. And I thought about it and I said, wow, he's absolutely right. Because I've come to realize that there are club people, there are lounge people, and there's people who are not really big on socializing. They're not really big in social events. They love music, but social events is not their thing.
Mhm.
And I had to understand that and differentiate some of my friends
Right.
because I know that this person is not a person who's ever gonna come to the club. You know what I mean? This person is a person that might go to the lounge. And then this other person will be a person that said, "You know what? I'll come to a game night
Mhm.
and chill,
Right.
and that's it."
Right. But
So
but basically what you just expressing though is your, what we consider your growing pains in regards to your career path of being a DJ, being someone that provides entertainment. You're just expressing your growing pains of learning the dynamics of different people. And the reason why I say growing pains is because it was when you first started versus now where you
yeah.
have a lot of experience in one in what you're doing, two,
Mhm.
the different people that you interact with. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you can easily identify when somebody's BSing you versus,
Yeah.
somebody that can become a potential customer. So that's all you expressing is what we all go through when it comes to certain passions or just growing up within friendships as well as relationships, the growing pains of it,
Yeah,
you know? So now here
absolutely.
you are today, right?
Wiser.
A little wiser. And what you said to me earlier, 100 pounds lighter, right? Before we got on the video, I was like,
Yeah, I
okay.
gotta check the scale. I gotta be right now. Right, I know I was. Let me see. Like a year ago, I hit like. Let me see. I hit like when I was checking my weight. I was like 160. This was 160. I think now. I think I hit like. I think I'm like. I think I'm hitting like 200 pounds lighter now. I was like 160 lighter. Like when I look at the total weight that I lost, it was like 160. So like now it's like maybe like 190 because I lost more weight from
Wow.
last year. From 2020 from 2020
Mhm.
2025. Yeah. I put a picture side by side,
Mhm.
right? Like a year later, literally, I put like a picture that I took in May 2024
Mhm.
and May 2025. Yeah, I was like, oh snap. Yeah, I did. I lost more. And everybody was telling me, and I'm like, I didn't really notice it until I put on a certain pair, jeans or whatever the
Right.
case may be, some jeans and pants. And I'm like, oh damn, I did
Right.
drop a couple more pounds. You know what I'm saying? And I saw it in my face and I saw it in my clothing and stuff like that.
Well, congratulations with that. How you feel
So,
about that?
oh, I
Losing
feel
all that
great.
weight, how you feel?
I feel great. Of course, you're gonna feel more confident within yourself. You're gonna like the way you look. You know what I mean? Of course, you're gonna get more attention, but some people are not really focused on attention. But good attention is something that people always like. They can try to hide it as much as they want, but when you get the positive attention, you're always gonna be happy from it. You know what I mean? Some people let it get to their head. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, a lot of women, right? I'm not gonna try to,
You gonna throw the
gender.
women under the bus? I was just about to say you was like, back then you didn't want me. Now I'm thin, you all up on me. Yeah, me shorty. You all up on me.
Of course, talk to me nice. Don't talk to me twice. You know what I mean? Talk to me nice, but you can't talk to me twice. You feel me?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, of course. Of course, you're gonna like the attention. You're gonna love the compliments. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? But I feel as though I've always had the same mentality. It's just that now, when you feel, when you look better, you feel better.
Mm.
When you look better, you feel better.
That's true.
Of course, we always say that it's always mental. It's always spiritual.
Mhm.
You know. You know.
What's mental and spiritual? What?
Like, of course, like, of course, when you have a goal set in
Mhm.
mind, it's all mental. That's the primary thing. It's mental and spiritual because mental is like, you're going to be focused. You're going to be determined. That's the mindset you got to have. Your mindset has to be like, yo, I have to be determined. I have to get to this goal. You know what I mean? And when it comes to spiritual, you pray about it. You understand that in order to get to where you need to get to, you have to really focus. You have to let a lot of negative things, you have to leave it behind you when it
But
comes to
I
it.
think what people misconstrue a lot of times is that when we on a weight loss journey or just, have an interest in becoming our most healthiest self, I
Hmm.
think a lot of people miscorrelate that with losing weight is all about vanity and I'm doing it like the primary, I'm doing it to look good, which that's not true. I mean, that's the plus that comes behind when you on your journey and things are going the right direction. But the primary is always to become a healthier person.
Yeah.
And it has to be a known fact. Being obese and obesity can lead to other health problems.
Yes.
So it's not that
Absolutely.
I'm just want to lose weight to look good or to fit in certain things. That's a plus that'll come with it. But my primary goal is to be healthy.
Absolutely.
That's the thing that's first.
1,000%. 1,000%. People don't realize that, and when you are healthier and you see the progress,
Mhm.
it's always going to lift your spirits when you see the progress. Like you just said, the primary purpose of losing weight is for you to decrease your health complications.
Right.
and everyone has different reasons why they decide to change their life around.
Mhm.
You know, some people unfortunately are put in a position where they must
Is a f
change their life around for them to keep living. You get what I'm saying?
Is that the reason why you lost so much weight?
I guess, I guess
You
to
was
be honest,
forced to do it?
I say, right, to be honest, I say this. I got a wake up call, right? The wake up call was from my pops, rest in peace. The wake up call was the realization that at the size I was, right, that I'm destined to have a whole bunch of complications. You know what I mean? At the size that I was. Because of the fact that, I watched my father. My father was always a person who was very active. You know what I mean? He was a manager of parking garage for LIU, right next to LIU, for like 25 plus years. You understand? And he was a person who was always active. He was right there downtown Brooklyn. He was always walking, very, a lot of movement. I know in his older years, he had colon cancer. And when he
Mm.
got colon cancer, it was just very hard to believe because of the fact that for him to be so active, I couldn't understand how
How
did
could
he
something
become
like
so,
this get to him?
yeah,
Yeah.
how did he become so sick? And when he got sick and I saw the digression, right, of him, I was like, damn, for him to digress so strongly, you know what I'm saying? For him to be, he needed so much aid and so much assistance and just doing regular things.
Mm.
I was like, damn, if he is an active person and he got to this point, I wasn't active. I
Right.
used to be
What
active and
basically, what could happen to me?
exactly. What's gonna happen to me because I used to be active and I stopped being active.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't active. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was outside on the regular. I was drinking this and eating this and doing all of these things. And and when it comes to my movement, when it comes to exercise, it was come on, bro. I wasn't doing any of that. The only exercise that I can really say was, me lifting up equipment from time to time. You get what I'm saying? That was the
Right.
only real exercise. I wasn't sitting there walking on the regular. I wasn't playing sports on the regular like how I used to. You know what I mean? So, like I said to myself, like, yo, I really need to get active. I really need to do something about it. And now, you know, remember, I remember I took a trip to West Palm Beach to do an event in West Palm. Now, when I wanted to do the event in West Palm, when I went to go DJ the event, I had to go get a flight, right, to go out there. And now the flights was expensive at the time. So one of my friends was like, yo, I'm gonna put you on a buddy pass or whatever, um, to bring you out there. I was like, all right, cool. But they said how just so I could prioritize you, make it look like, you're going to work or something like that. So I said, all right, cool. To like dress appropriate and make it seem like this is work or whatever. That's the reason why,
Mhm.
you need to make sure that I get on whatever flight I need to get on.
Mm.
So I'm like, all right, cool, bet. So I go to the airport, like dressed up or whatever the case may be, to play the role that my friend told me. So now I did that. And when I came back to New York, I caught a crazy cold. It was freezing, right? I was underdressed. So now I caught a crazy cold. The day after I come back, that's when I catch the cold.
Mm.
Like now, like the third day, I'm back in New York. I feel sick. I feel crazy sick. I'm weak. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I feel the worst. I feel like garbage. And then now I'm laying in the bed. And now my girlfriend at the time, she was like, yo, you really don't sound good. Like, you should go to the doctor, get yourself checked, whatever. I'm like, nah. I'm just going to try to sleep it off or whatever the case may be. She's like, nah, go to your doctor, whatever. Your doctor, you got a neighborhood doctor that closes like office closes like at 7 p.m. or whatever. Go to the doctor, go to the doctor. She's very adamant about me going to the doctor. I said, okay, cool. I go to the doctor, right? My pops was around. He was like, all right, I'll take you, whatever. Let's just go. Go to the doctor. The doctor takes my vitals and was like, what? Nah, you going to the hospital right now,
What was it? Your blood
right?
pressure?
Everything was off.
Mm.
Everything was off,
Off the
right?
Richter scale.
Everything was horrible, right? So to the point that you gotta be in bad shape if you're at the like medical center
But
and
yeah, I
they say
know.
no,
You gotta be in
you
bad
gotta go.
shape because if they let you leave like that, you're considered a liability, so they have to send you to
Yeah,
the hospital.
yeah, they gotta see the hospital. So boom, or the ambulance, I gotta go to the hospital.
So that must have been
The
scary.
even the EMT who's doing all my vitals, or he sees all the vital signs, that the doctor informed him, is like, damn, you're bugging, bro. Like you in horrible shape, right? Right, you in horrible shape. So now they prescribed me like 6 medications I gotta take on a day-to-day basis. I'm like, I got like 6 meds. Right. And I can tell this story too. I don't mind telling this story, what I'm about to say next. Right. So now they give me like 6 medications. And this is for the people who will be watching this podcast, right? After, right? Here's some informative information for all the gentlemen out there, right? One of the medications that they put you on when you have extremely high blood pressure is lisinopril. Lisinopril is a high blood pressure medication. And gentlemen, fellas, blood pressure medication, right, is for your blood flow. And what works with blood flow? Your erection, fellas, right? Your erection. So now, right? So now, when you're on high blood pressure medication, fellas, it will alter your erections. You understand? Right? So now, when you see that you not getting the way you usually get like this, it's because you are on blood pressure medication. You get it? And now, unfortunately, a lot of times doctors do not tell you the
That
side
that's one of
effects
the side
of
effects.
because they already know that a lot of gentlemen are not going to take the medication because they do not want anything to alter their manhood. You get what I'm saying? They don't want anything to alter their performance. And if you have extremely high blood pressure, it's going to alter your performance, hands down, right? We're not saying that you can't perform. Yeah, you still can perform, but as strong as
You're
you would
not gonna
perform
have the
before,
stamina or the strength. Right.
you're not going to have the physical strength,
Mhm.
right, to do what you need to do when it comes to your manhood. You
Right.
understand? So like at first I didn't know, right? At first I didn't know that was a side effect. It wasn't until one of my nurse friends, told me, was like, yo, you know, that is a side effect from this medication. And I said, what? She said, well, go to your doctor and ask your doctor if he can prescribe you a different medication. The very next day, she tells me that. Make that. I was like, hey, I gotta go to the doctor tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, hey, I need an appointment today. Oh, before I said, no, I'll be walking. No, I don't care. Walk in. I need that appointment
911, what's
today.
your emergency?
So I go speak to my doctor, and my doctor says, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not taking you off this medication because you need it. Right. You need it. Your blood pressure is extremely high. You are obese. You know what I mean? The only way for you to get off this medication and get
It's to lose
yourself
weight.
back is to lose weight immediately. Immediately. Do whatever you need to do to lose that weight immediately.
Right.
So now I'm seeing my dad sick. I'm on this blood pressure medication,
It was
right?
all happening at the same time.
Same time. And like, so I said, nah, I need to do what I need to do to get me off this shit, right? And get myself right. And that was like the turning point. That was a turning point of my life and said, like, yo, I'm gonna get myself, to the point. So that's when I started making, they gave me a nutritionist and these things to get where I needed to be. You know what I mean? And it was all at first you look at it like, oh my God, I gotta eat this bullshit. Excuse my language, right? You gotta eat this BS and all this stuff like that. And the thing about it is that, I did want to work out, but at the same time, I didn't want to look stupid in the gym. I didn't want to feel embarrassed. And I definitely want to give big props to Kevin Lee, right? Because Kevin did play a very big part in my weight loss because Kevin was there with me, giving me so many tips, right? So many exercises. And he made it very comfortable for me to do all these exercises and workouts where I didn't feel embarrassed because I didn't have the stamina due to my weight size.
Buddy
You
a
get what
buddy
I'm saying?
system always works
Of
when it comes to
course, you know
working
what I
out.
mean? Because a lot of times I feel, and this is, my experience, and I could definitely say that I can understand other people, and a lot of people may feel that way, is that they don't want to go to the gym like that because 75% of the people in the gym are not as big as you.
Mm,
The people who are obese. You get what I'm saying? A
mhm,
lot of times you go to the gym and you see people who are somewhat in shape already. And some people will be like, that should encourage you. Yes, it should encourage you. It doesn't mean that it is encouraging you.
mhm.
Because now when you look at yourself in the mirror and you have a lot of insecurities in the mirror and you're surrounded by just people who you wish you looked like.
Yeah, sometimes it becomes overwhelming.
Yes,
It does.
exactly. It can become overwhelming. You know what I mean? You do not want to show yourself off. You don't feel comfortable in that
Right.
space. You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And having someone who's helping you, who's assisting you,
Mhm.
where you don't feel judged and that person doesn't make you feel uncomfortable is very important. Very important. That's one of the things that, definitely helped me. You know what I mean? Me and Kevin went on a routine. You get what I'm saying? Routine. He definitely pushed me
Mm.
to do what I needed to do. He was telling me, giving me so many tips about do this, eat this, or we're gonna do this, you know what I mean? And even when I was tired, I was exhausted. I'm like, yo, come on, bro. He's like, nah, bro. I understand you don't want, we're not gonna do the hour and a half. We're just gonna do a quick little 30 minutes. Come on. We'll do 30 minutes. We do a quick little 30 minutes.
Showing up for something is better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
it comes to the workout, something is better than nothing.
Mhm.
And he was telling me like, "Yo, start this with your diets, eat this, eat this, eat this." You know what I mean? When you're craving this, try that. Because a lot of times everybody starts, and I say this, everybody starts the gym,
Mm.
but not everybody finishes.
Right. That's true.
Well, they'll be consistent for 2
Mhm.
weeks.
Mhm.
They'll be consistent for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
It. Because you know why? People have a mindset of sprinting. No, don't sprint. When it comes to losing weight, it's never a sprint. It's a
Right.
marathon.
Right.
Marathon.
Right. But I think
Slow and s
sometimes people give up too is when they feel like they got to a certain point. Oh, I don't need to continue. But you have to remember that consistency is always going to be the breakthrough on anything that you're trying to accomplish, anything that you're trying to sustain. So you need to be consistent. Don't ever give up. Don't ever get to the point. I think that's sometimes people do that with therapy, people do that with dieting. When they feel like they are somewhat cured, then they'll just quit. But you gotta understand when
Mhm.
you do that, you can regress back to what you were. So that's why you gotta
Absolutely.
be consistent with continuing what you're doing to sustain where you are. So you have to
Absolutely.
continue, you
100%.
know?
Like, my diet my diet now is completely different.
Mhm.
Even though I lost the weight, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
My diet now is completely different.
Your body is used to it now.
Of course, it's used to it. Like one thing about me is like, and they notice my kitchen. I'm a pasta person, right? I like pasta. I've never been a big rice person. I'm more pasta and vegetables. But the pasta that I do eat is protein pasta. I found out about protein pasta like a year ago.
Mhm.
She's one of my best friends. You know what I'm saying? I limited myself, like, I have protein pasta once a week. You know what I mean?
They
Once a
have
week, I got
different
my
ones.
protein.
They got protein, they have vegetable.
Yeah,
Just
they got wheat.
I just tried some chickpea pasta tonight,
Yeah.
and I don't like it. I think maybe I
Chickpea
needed to
chickpea is not
add
mm. So
some
I'm
more
telling you,
something to it, but
the protein pasta in the yellow box, right? I
mhm,
forgot the brand, yellow box.
I think I had
You're
that
not gonna
before.
taste the difference. You're not
Mhm,
tasting the difference.
right.
You're not tasting the difference. If I made it for you or you have a friend make it for you, you're
Mhm,
not tasting the difference at all.
mhm,
And it's triple times healthier for you. You don't taste it's all about your seasoning. You till this day, I use Mrs. Dash
mhm,
or I use Adobo Light. You know what
mhm,
I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I use the Adobo Light. You know
right.
what I'm saying? The less sodium and stuff. Turkey bacon, you know what I mean? If I'm having regular bacon, I'm having the lower sodium bacon. You get what I'm saying? The juices that I have juice with lower sugar than the higher sugar juice.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. You have the craving, You know what I'm saying? And you just have to have portions. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And like with me personally, I'll go through my little periods of time where I turn up the workouts and then I slow it down.
Right.
Summertime, right before the summer, you turn up. Turn up.
Mhm.
And I always tell everybody that.
Yep.
Turn up. Like so right now the year just started, going on the gym. January, February, March, April,
I'm
May,
turning it up
going to the
now.
gym. Turn it up now. Cause you know why? I wanna get the summer body, I wanna get the summer body. You're probably not gonna get the summer body, right? But you're probably not. But the thing about it is that in the summertime is you thinking that you're gonna eat healthy in the summertime is out the window. Be real with yourself. You're not. Summertime, you're outside. You're outside, you're going to events, you're
You're
doing social
buying
events, you're
food.
doing
Yeah.
things. You're enjoying the mother nature. You're gonna have drinks, you're gonna have, barbecues and all this stuff like that, family outings, all this good food that you're gonna eat, you know what I'm saying? Which is fine, it's okay.
That's so true.
So if you decide to be like, all right, boom, I'm gonna make a lot of better choices now because I know summertime I'm gonna pig out. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna pig out. You're gonna pig out. And it's
So
okay.
just get ready. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said it's portions. It's portions. Know yourself. Stop lying. Stop lying to yourself.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Your limits.
And just
Oh,
maneuver properly.
yes, definitely maneuver properly.
Mhm.
You know what's not good for you. You know what is good for you. You know what is your weak points. You get what I'm saying? So now take those things and make the adjustments that you need to do, that you need to make.
Right.
And that's how you'll be successful because everybody's different. Everybody has a different size. We all shape differently. Bodies react to things different. Everybody's not the same.
Mhm.
What works for me may not work for you. What I can do is give you advice. That way you can decide what works for you.
That's right. So now
Mhm.
let's talk about the world we're living in. Everything feels urgent. Everyone wants a reaction. Every headline of what's going on, with different topics demands so much attention. And while staying informed matters, being
Mhm.
overwhelmed by certain topics doesn't always serve us.
Yeah.
The earth signs, us as earth signs, we process the world a little differently. We
Mhm.
look at long term impact and we ask, how does this affect real life? Like certain
Mm.
things that affect other people may not affect us in the same way. When it comes to real people, certain things of stability. This last question that I'm gonna ask you about, pretty much the way things are going now, how we just have to take a pause,
Mhm.
and I think what a lot of people just need to pause and slow down the panic of so much. I understand that a lot is going on, but when you internalize that stuff a lot, it can affect you in a different way.
Okay.
But the one thing that I did want to bring up to you that everybody's been talking about is
Yeah.
this couple, this content creating couple online, very young. I think one of them is 30, another one just turned 32, something like that. I think that's the age bracket. But
Yeah.
the information that I did read about them as well is that they've been together since they were
Yeah.
like 14, 15 years old,
Exactly.
right? Of the female, which is already known, 75% of females are the one that file for divorce, right? And then I can't even I don't know what your thought is in regards to the percentage of people that may be in relationships and just unhappy with their relationship. But just to bring everything together, because not that I read so much into the situation, because even when I see stories and stuff like that, I might just look at it real quick. And I never find myself going down a rabbit hole with things. I'll look at something real quick and just move on to something else. That's just the
Yeah.
way that I am and when I read or see certain things. But it was just funny to me how, with this couple being so young and their
Yeah.
presence online, how everybody from any sector had their own commentary on these people's lives that they don't even know. I mean, from the clips that I've seen of this couple, they weren't doing anything in depth or having these in depth conversations for you to even get to know who they were. You were
Yeah.
looking through a lens of seeing them for 60 seconds,
Yeah.
and you bringing these people into your lives as if they're your own family. But it was just funny to me to see so many people commenting, so many different male, female, binary, whatever you want to call yourself, have this
Mhm.
different perspective
Yeah.
on people's relationship that you do not know them and you do not even know of them. Now, one thing that I did look up before meeting with you today, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to see what these two people's signs were. And can you believe that one of them are a Taurus and one of them are a Capricorn?
Okay.
So they both earth signs.
Mhm.
How crazy is that? But I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, right? From what I just said of all these people commenting, have their thoughts in the Kool-Aid, don't know the flavor type of thing. What is your thought on that situation?
Well, okay. Here's a question, right? You said it's Capricorn and Taurus.
I
Who's a
just found
Capricorn?
that out. I just found that out. One
Who's a
of them are
Capricorn?
a Capricorn and one of them are a Taurus.
Who's a Capricorn? The male or the
The male is a Capricorn and the female is a Taurus.
Taurus? Okay. To correlate the signs, I do not know too much about Capricorn men, but from the two Capricorn men that I know, friends of mine, they are people who are liked by many, right? The Capricorn men are social, right? But the Taurus women are not as social from my experience, right? They're not as social, but they like attention. They do like attention in different ways. Now, to make my hypotheses from what I've seen, that particular woman, of course, as a social influencer, you need to be interactive with your audience, right? As a social influencer, you have to show all of the things that you're doing, your perspective on current events, social current events, if that is your platform. If that's what you discuss on your platform, social events, social outings, fashion, when it comes to a lot of influencers, depending on, what is the lane of your platform on social media. What I seen is that she was more of the planner and she was more of the director of their social media when he just, supported his woman and partook in it, partook in the things that she liked, and that's what you're supposed to do as a partner. You're supposed to support your partner in the things that they like to do and the goals that they have. Now, he's a very talented gentleman, very talented. And it looks like he's a well-known chef. Now, when it comes to being there for your partner is extremely important. And for them to been in a relationship for so many years during their adolescence stages, they grew up together. They learned, right, things together. But I do think it is important to learn things on your own as well. And some people may agree, some people may disagree. I feel as though that it gets to a point where it may get to a point where, you know what, you come to a realization that maybe there's more outside of this circle or this box that we are in. Because at the age of 14, 15, 16, you're just learning yourself. You're just learning about love. This is your first love.
You just learning how to clean yourself properly.
You just learning how to stroke. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, ladies is just learning how to receive. You get what I'm saying? Like you're just learning how to control it, how to control your inside. You know what I'm saying? You just learning how to pulsate, right? Right. That's what the ladies like to do, right? You just learning how to pulsate your insides. You understand? I think that, it got to a point where like it can be both parties. I'm not going to just, point the finger at one person. But it got to a point that, he could have been on some like, okay, we've been doing this. I've been with you for so long. We've been together for so long. I love you. I care about you. But you're the only person that I know. You know what I mean? You're the only person that I've been experiencing for this many years. Because now they're in their 30s, correct?
Mhm.
right there in their 30s,
30,
mid-30s, early
30, 30, and 32, I believe.
30 and 32. So yeah, that's like, 15 years, 16 years of you only experiencing one person. And in the age of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 to 25, people don't really start to know themselves as an adult till you hit 25.
Hmm.
25, is where you like, okay, I'm gonna starting to start my future. And that's only if you're mature, if you're very mature. A lot of people are not established, nowhere near established at 23, 24, 25 years old. Nowhere near that. At 25 years old, I wasn't thinking about my long term future. At 23, I wasn't thinking about at 23, I wasn't thinking about my long term future. At 23, I'm like, yeah, I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man. And I'm still thinking about looking fly. You get what I'm saying? I'm still thinking about making sure I got some money in my pocket to look fly, to look like the man to women. You get what I'm saying? So like when it comes to them, yes, you have extreme love for the person that you've been with. This person could have been, your best intimate partner. This person has been your closest friend because of the fact that you have put in so much time with this person. But it doesn't mean that you do not think about how it would be with someone else. And what I mean by how it would be by someone else, I'm not talking about just intimacy. I'm talking about the whole relationship. You know, you look at that person's flaws or you look in the person's personality traits that causes conflict within your relationship. And then you start to think about like, yo, what if I was with somebody else? If someone didn't do these things that you do that piss me off. So it makes your mind wander. And then now it can get to the point where it wanders to a point that you feel as though I need to see what else is out there. I've been told and I've heard that when it comes to relationships, sometimes you disconnect from the person for like 6 months before you call it quits. You already disconnected and you're just trying to see if the disconnection would reconnect. And then now, 3 months later, 4 months later, 5 months later, and then 6 months later, you're like, yo, it's not reconnecting.
I can't do this.
I can't do this no more. I'm no longer happy. I feel drained. I feel as though this is a chore. It's no longer a place I'm willingly want to be in. It gets to that.
So, with all of that, your perspective is you think this is what the male counterpart was going through?
I feel as though that's what he's gone through. And I think that, he no longer wanted to put in the effort or he was not in a happy place anymore. It's just social media try to throw the narrative, oh, he cheated. Just because they seen a picture or a video footage of him with someone
But that
else.
was after the fact, though. That was after
Exactly.
the
That was after,
announcement. So
you know what I mean?
that's why, with all of that and, just certain clips that I've seen people talking, I can't take any of that into any type of perspective because like I said earlier, I don't know these people. I don't know of them. They never presented themselves as, speaking to the public. Sometimes you have people that speak to the public, speak to the camera. So you really can't gauge. But one of the things that I did want to bring into full circle and to just mention the understanding that you have a lot of the commentators and people speaking that are not qualified for the simple fact is that they never been with a person longer than 11 days
Mm,
versus 11 years of marriage. Okay.
mhm,
You have people talking that do not have children,
mm,
right? And if they do, never even been with the partner long enough to know what that is to be a family and to coincide with somebody in a certain way,
yes.
There's just a lot of commentators are not qualified to discuss or even have their opinion on these people's situation. But one of the things that I did want to highlight in regards to it is that we always discuss and reflect and say so many mean things to the person that decided to leave the relationship. And one of the things I feel like we don't discuss enough and that we don't talk about enough or even highlight enough is that as bad as it may seem or as bad as it may come off, we never give that person the respect to show themselves to say, I have an understanding that I only have one life. And because I only have one life, I have no interest in living in it miserably. So, because of that, I'm going to try to work something out. And if I feel like it doesn't work out or it's not working out, I'm going to move on.
Mm,
But all you hear about is the bad part of someone so cheated, this and that. That part of that, that part of that, I wish people could take care of a little better,
yeah.
right? But we still don't give the certain people a level of respect for taking some type of control of their lives and not wanting to be a part of something that no longer makes them happy.
Yeah. I agree with you. They always did.
I understand with the vows of marriage and this and that, but I can't speak of marriage because I've never been married. Being engaged, it doesn't count, so I can't count that. But being in an actual marriage, I can't specify to you or speak wholeheartedly with that if I've never been in that situation. You know what I'm saying? But I am talking about and highlighting how we never respect the people that leave when they're miserable, right? And we never highlight and provide that respect for people that want to take accountability and change their own lives to make themselves happy.
Mm,
You want me to stay somewhere where I'm miserable and where I'm not
yeah,
happy?
you're right.
Whether you
You're
know
right.
it or not, I tried to do what I could and I could not do that here. You know what I'm saying? So I know the validity of that, of not wanting to be in a space that you were once in before. Falling out of love with somebody that you held on a pedestal. I know what that feels like to fall out of love.
Mm,
It's a very bad feeling.
yeah.
But I'd rather recover myself by removing myself than
Yeah.
continuing something to show face for other people.
That is the
These other people don't pay my rent. They don't
to
pay
pay your
my
bills.
bills. They don't feed me. They don't sleep with me. So what the hell I care what they think if I no longer want to be with somebody? And that goes for the same sense of someone no longer wanting to be with me. I gotta respect that. You have to respect that. As
Yeah.
much as it may hurt, you have to respect that. And we don't talk enough about respecting the person that has left. We just talk about how horrible they were. My God, he left her with them children and this and that. There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of people that just wake up and say, I don't want this no more.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah,
be here.
they reach their breaking point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They reach their breaking point. I agree. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do because
Right.
society has based every failed relation, not every, but society has based most failed relationships from infidelity. You get like it doesn't exist or it's not accepted enough that people can grow apart. That people are no longer trying anymore. People are not doing the things to complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
People are not doing the things to, they lose sight of making each other happy.
Mm-hmm.
You, every relationship has a goo goo gaga stage that I like to call, all right? The
The
goo goo gaga
honeymoon.
stage. The honeymoon, yes, equivalency to honeymoon, right? The goo goo gaga stage. Oh, everything that they do is cute. Everything that they wear is cute. They look good. You want to be intimate all the time. You know what I mean? And then after a while, it starts to fade. It starts to fade. Now the question is whether or not do you really like the person? Does the person really show you attention and affection? Does that person make you feel, warm inside? Does that person support you? Does and helps you? Does the person motivates you? Does the person try to be of peace? Because of course they're gonna be a headache sooner or later. Every once in a while, your partner's gonna be a headache. Let's be real. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna have discrepancies, you're gonna argue. That person's gonna get on your nerves.
Mm-hmm.
The love they have for you is gonna overpower that. The love you have
Right.
for them is gonna overpower that.
Right.
You get to a point, unfortunately, when you get to the point where it's like you're falling out, of love. You don't feel happy. You don't feel safe. You don't feel, you don't feel the fact that you can no longer be vulnerable. Then it's hard to look at that person and be cool with that person. It's
Mhm.
hard for you to sit there and be intimate with that person if there's not a good vibe anymore. I remember with some past relationships that there was a woman who, she definitely wanted the best for me. She was a great person when it comes to, motivating me to get to the bag. You understand? That was her strong point. Her strong point was getting to the bag. Like, oh no, she motivated me to get to the bag. You need to do this, you need to do that. Step your game up with this, step your game up with that. Yes. But she was very cutthroat when it comes to her personality. And it was what I mean by very cutthroat is that, like, I would, listen to her talk about past friendships, and, past relationships, not intimate relationships, but relationships with friends, relationships business wise, relationships with other things. And she was very cutthroat. You know what I mean? She was
So what
never,
that mean? What that mean? She was the problem?
I wouldn't say she was a problem, but she was just very cutthroat. Like, I mean, you're not, I didn't see her never trying to mend things. You get what I'm saying? Even if somebody try to mend things and trying to let bygones be bygones, no. You know what I'm saying? She's going to stay on it forever, and it didn't matter what it was. And I would definitely voice my opinion. I said, yo, I think that you can mend that situation. That's a situation where you guys need to never speak again. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can mend it and you can probably just be cordial. You may not be best friends anymore or extremely close anymore, but you can be cordial. You know what I mean? Because me personally, I have a mindset, right? Trying this person, I think she was an Aquarius.
Really?
Yeah, her birthday just passed, right? Just passed. I haven't spoken to her in like 2 years, 2.5 years. Right, but, I'm not saying we was together, no, we wasn't longer together, but I just haven't spoken to her just in general, right,
Mm,
in 2 years, we've been done, a long
mm,
time, right?
mm,
Um, but, like some people, you have come across where, you know, it's just you grow apart. There's certain
right.
aspects in the relationship that is very strong, and then there's certain aspects that are very weak. And you have to come to the realization like, "Oh, you know what? I don't see myself, being here forever when I'm not happy in this particular area." You're never gonna get 10 out of 10 out of someone. You're not. But if you get 7 out of 10 or a strong 6.5, you can work on the relationship,
Mm,
and that 6.5 and that 7 can become a 9. It can
mm,
become a 8. It can become with work, it can become a 10
right.
with work. But you to think, and I say this to people, you to think that you're gonna find your perfect person out there, highly unlikely. You may be that 1 in 100 person to find that person, but for you to find that perfect person for you is highly unlikely. You're gonna find a person that's gonna have 6.5, 7 out of 10. Yeah, the 10 that you need, right? Out of the 10 things that you need specifically for
Right.
you.
But now I'm a little conflicted about in regards to what you're saying.
Go ahead.
Um, because we ended with giving kudos to people that have the
Mhm.
strength to leave a relationship because they're miserable. But then now that you're talking and explaining this situation about relationships, yeah, the point is that sometimes we are not gonna grow together on the same path. In
Yeah,
the event that we can't do that, sometimes it will put a strain on the relationship and we won't be able to continue. So it's about growth. We're not growing the same. We're growing separately, but we're growing on a path that we are able to support each other in a healthy way. But now I'm a little conflicted in regards to what you're saying when you're saying about don't ever think in your mind that you're going to find a perfect person, which is actually true. But
yeah,
you also internally have to be able to say what you're willing to deal with versus what you're not. Take your pros and take your cons. You take the value and the character of the person and you put that together and you have to, nobody else but you can make that executive decision if this person is worth it. You understand? You gotta make your own assessment if this person is worth,
Yeah,
building something with.
exactly. Now the thing about it is that yes, and then the thing about it is that you know, right? Each person knows what are the important things that they need from that person,
Mm,
right? Because this person can have a lot of great quality traits, but they're not the quality traits that you need. That you need because okay, let me an example, right? An example. 10 years ago, I dated this woman, financially stable, good job, right? Knows how to cook, right? So let me just say
what
that we
happened? How
just
you lose that?
the
How you lose
typical.
that?
Here's the thing, I didn't lose, right? Let me tell you why I didn't lose, right? So now, like I said, right? She's financially stable, right? Loyal woman,
That's
did
a
her due diligence,
unicorn.
right?
Go ahead,
Right?
get to it. Tell me. Come on, come on.
Right?
What happened?
But what didn't work with me, right, was two things, right? Our sexual connection wasn't there.
Mm,
And secondly, she downplayed my love for music. You understand?
mm.
Like with the nightlife, with the nightlife, I love music.
Negativity, negativity in regards to your activity.
Yes.
All
Right?
right. Yeah, that
I,
wasn't gonna
I, I
work.
I love music, right?
Mhm.
And I love music. And when it comes to the DJ thing, the DJ thing was never my primary focus, right? Of finances, right? It never has been my primary focus finances. But the me being a DJ, I love music. I love to entertain. I love the atmosphere when I'm on the set, when I love the engagement of the crowd. It's fun for me. That's something that I enjoy. And she used to downplay it, right? When you gonna give it up? Aren't you bored of that? Aren't you tired of that
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
already?
negative.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like, okay, it's cool, you're good, all right, but like,
okay,
when you gonna quit it? We gonna leave it alone. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? Or
So I
whatever.
get you. You taking me around the mulberry bush, but I get you. You
Yeah.
you you
Yeah, right.
basically
So
saying you can have all of that, but you also have things that are bringing negativity to my life. And because of
so
that, I can't stay with you. You have everything that I need,
it's
but you can't
exactly.
give me what, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's like the love language for me.
Mm,
You get what I'm
okay.
saying? It's like a love language for me because everybody has their things about them,
Right.
right? About them in particular, right? That they enjoy, that they love, that they find that's important for
Mhm.
whoever that they want to build a life with. You understand? Like if you are a person, say, for example, you love poetry, right? Just an example. You love poetry, and there's other things that you may like. So now you may find someone who's great on paper, right? You look at their resume. Well, their resume shows this and that. Okay, all right. Oh,
Mhm.
damn. Like you're this, you're that. Okay, cool. And then their personality doesn't match your personality.
Right.
They not a they don't like to laugh as much as you like to laugh.
Just it's just
You
not
know?
meshing.
They they don't like to go to these small little intricate social events that you may love to go to.
Mhm.
You understand? So now and they may belittle that little thing that you love to do and like you love to engage in. And now hear me out. Hear me out. When you meet somebody new, right? When you meet somebody new, they share their interests and you share your interests, right? You may not have a lot of common interests, but if they are willing to try out your interests or try to be more informed in your interests, you're going to be cool with that. You're going to be cool with that. Babe, oh, I want to go to this poetry show. I want to go to this. I want to go to that or go to this is what I like to do. They're going to come support you. It may not be their thing, right? But they're going to respect it.
Mhm.
They're going to respect the fact that you love this. You know what I mean? And they're going to try to show up and learn about it and understand it and not belittle the things that you love
Right. So
to
you
do
just
in your.
opened. I don't know if you understand what you just did right now, but you just opened. No, seriously, you just opened up a portal for people to think, and just hear me out with this setup, right? So somebody, what you just explained, because you're taking a while, but I got it now. If you listen to what you just said, it brings me to a sense where people will say, "Oh my God, but he's so handsome. Oh my God, she's so gorgeous," right? This person has all these lists of things. You just said, Haitian Lover, all these lists of things. But that list of things that they have doesn't coincide with what I need. This
Yes.
person in reality is not giving me the right things to keep me going. So because of that, I have to exit. But on the outside, you thinking this MF is 100. You understand? You understand? But when we in the house, when we out and about, this person is a zero to me. They're not uplifting. The qualities that you see on paper is not reality. So because of that, I can no longer be with this person. And
Yes.
I think that's what a lot of people don't think outside the box with that. Because you'll
Absolutely.
hear, oh, this person is so beautiful. This person is that. Yo, I live with this person. This person is a nightmare. You understand? So I get it. And I think a lot of people need to open up their mind and understand that.
Yeah.
What you always see, they say don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah. But sometimes, too, a clean cover is a dirty book. Period.
A clean, a
Period. Yo, you just opened it up for us. You just really, you don't know what you just did. You really opened it up for us, right? So stay rooted in your values, protect your
yes.
peace, trust
Yes.
the pace of your growth. That's everything
Yes.
that you talked about tonight, learning your growth and
Huh?
understanding what you're going through. Until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and keep growing from the root. I love being the earth sign. I love
Mhm.
my earth signs, and we're gonna get
Yes.
into so much more when it comes to us. We're gonna talk about the other signs too, but we're just here to gather today to say that this is gonna be our year and beyond. There's no more
Absolutely.
suffering, there's more growth, there's more getting to the bag, which we love, and so
Mhm.
many other things to come that I'm so excited for. But thank you for meeting with me tonight. I know I haven't seen you in so long. When was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last time I
definitely.
saw you?
Had to be over 2 years. Gotta be
10
over 2 years.
years?
At least.
My God. That is
Last time
disgusting.
at least.
I'm such a horrible friend, right?
Now we gotta have a dinner night with all of us, the whole crew. The whole crew. We go sit out, we have dinner, we chop it up, say it'll be a nice vibe. We gotta set it
All right, so you want to end with anything?
up. I would say this just thank you for the opportunity. Great conversation. You know what I mean? Very great conversation. And I hope everyone who watched this, understands and take some of our opinions, and process them and apply them to their lifestyle and whatever they got going on, and hopefully can bring some clarity to anything that may have transpired,
Mm,
to them or
right.
friends or family of those people who will be watching this.
Absolutely. And I think, for people that know of you, don't really know you, but know of you, when you get to speak into these spaces, or even if they watched you before when you was doing the podcast before, it just gives them a better perspective of who we are.
Absolutely.
Because this part of this is not a facade. It's the real us. You understand?
Mhm.
So absolutely. So it's either you with it or get going, scram.
Get with it or get lost.
All right. Well, it was nice chopping it up with you.
Likewise.
Definitely any other segments that you're interested in too, I would love to have you back.
Absolutely.